Do you remember the previous session? So, if you remember, you know that we were talking about the past continuous. But if you don't, check the link above. Okay, so here you can find the previous video and watch the previous sessions. So, let's see. Today, we are gonna talk about the differences, okay? But difference between past continuous and simple past. You already know these two tenses, but today we are gonna just clarify the differences. We are gonna get to know how to use them in a correct way, okay? And just accurately. So let's get started. Okay, simple past versus past continuous. Here you see some sentences. Okay, pay attention to these 4 sentences. Okay, just don't look at this part. Let's go to the first sentence. Jack was reading a book. Imagine Jack and think about the past. Jack was reading a book. It's a kind of action which is in progress. Which is in progress or was? Which was in progress because we are talking about the past tense. There was a duration of time that Jack was reading a book. Let's go to the next sentence. It's like a short story. Let's continue. It's like a chain of actions. So, the next part, his phone rang. His phone rang. Jack was reading a book. Then his phone rang. Suddenly, it rang. Somebody called Jack. The next sentence in series of actions. He stopped reading. He stopped reading. So, take a look at the first sentence, the first part of the chain. Jack was reading a book. His phone rang. He stopped reading. He stopped that action. Let's go to the last sentence. He answered his phone. After stopping reading, he answered his phone. What happened here? Why are we just talking about these sentences? We wanna put it across that Jack was doing something, an action which was continuous. Here, his phone rang, cut that action, then he stopped reading, the action was totally cut. He answered his phone. He did another action. There's a point, there's a difference which is really obvious here. And that difference is that we use past continuous in order to talk about the actions which were in progress in the past. And we can use simple past in order to make interruptions in that action. That was one of the points. Let's go to some questions which can just help you gel these points in your mind. Here it says, what was Jack doing when his phone rang? What was Jack doing when his phone rang? What is the matter of the question here? So the matter of the question here is that the continuous tense. So is that continuous tense that I told you in the first part of the chain? Let's see. What was Jack doing when his phone rang? The answer is, take a look at the star here. Jack was reading a book. Jack was reading a book when his phone rang. Next question. What did he do when his phone rang? Now it is asking about the single action. not about the continuous one. What did he do when his phone rang? We can answer, he stopped reading. He stopped reading and he answered his phone. So follow the circles here. These are the answers to this question. That's the case. Up to here we understand that. For the actions which were in progress at a certain period of time in the past and was temporary, we can use past continuous. For those actions which can interrupt past continuous, we can use simple past. Or for single actions that they just happen at once, suddenly they happen. Again, we can use simple past. That's really important. So take a look at this part, okay? This timeline is really important to understand this point that I mentioned above clearly. Here it says, he was reading. So you can see the action on this arrow. Follow the black arrow. He was reading. This is an action. And there is a red arrow here which cuts this action, which cuts he was reading. So this action is his phone rang. So his phone rang. Okay? And in this part, we see that here his phone rang and here something happened. That thing is that at the end of this action, he stopped reading. So that's the end of this action. And after stopping that, he answered his phone. And that is one action that he changed. He changed the continuous action into a single action. Let's get to know more through more examples. Now, you're gonna get to know the difference clearly here. Here, we're gonna talk about simple past, only simple past, and when we use it, why we use it, like this. Here it says, what did you do yesterday morning? If somebody asks you such a question, what did you do yesterday morning? You're gonna talk about an action which was finished, so which ended. Here it says, we played tennis. So we played tennis. That action is important and the period of time that you did it is not really important because it's important that we are talking about a completed action within a period of time. So if we say we played tennis, it means that we might have started that at 10 o'clock and we finished at 11:30. So there's a time period, but the duration is not important. We are talking about only a completed action, okay? So we are not talking about the duration and during this time period, what we were doing. We are not going for the details. Only you are talking about the completed action. So here, another example. Jack read a book yesterday. So it's important that we know Jack read a book and finished that book. That's the case. The duration is not important. Did you watch the game on TV last night? So, did you watch the game on TV? It means what I am concerned about is the action that you watched or not. So, I'm not asking about the details. Only I'm asking about that completed action. So let's go. It didn't rain while we were on vacation. Again, we are not interested to know that the raining was continuous or not. So we say we only report that it didn't rain. There wasn't any rain when we were on vacation, while we were on vacation. That's the case. So notice that if you want to use simple past, it's important that you're talking about the past tense and you're talking about the completed actions, not the duration. The completed actions which were done and finished. So That's all that we are concerned about. Let's go to the past continuous. It's time to talk about past continuous and the differences between the usages of simple past and past continuous. So, in simple past, we said that it's important to talk about completed actions. So, that action is important, and it is important to us to know that that action is totally completed and finished at that time. But here, the story is different. Let's see. Here it says, what were you doing at 10:30? This is the question. So under what circumstances should you ask such a question? This is the point. What were you doing at 10:30? So I'm not asking about completed action. I'm not interested to know that what you did and what finished. So it's not important to me to know that you did something, you did an activity. But it's important to me that what caused you that you didn't answer. Okay? So in order to do so, I understand that somebody was doing something. The action was in progress. So I ask such a question. I call my friend. So I call my friend. My friend doesn't answer. I call her at 10:30. At 10:30, when I call her, she doesn't answer. And she doesn't call me back. Or she didn't, actually. We are talking about the past tense. She didn't call me back. Okay? Again, 11, she didn't call me back. At 11:30, she didn't call me back. Finally, at 12, or for instance, at 1 p.m., she calls me, okay? And I say, what were you doing at 10:30? Because I understand that there was an action that she was doing continuously that she couldn't answer my call. That's the case. So I'm interested to know the action which was in progress and actually which was a hindrance here, which prevented her to call me. It's really important. So here she answers, we were playing tennis. We were playing tennis. They started playing at 10, but I'm not interested to know that when they started. I'm not interested either to know that when they finished. It's not my matter of interest. Only what concerns me here is that the action in progress, okay? The action in progress is really important here. That I ask, what were you doing at 10:30? And she says, we were playing tennis. We were playing tennis. There's a point here. In this case, when you want to start an action, you can just use the past, okay, simple past. You can say, we started playing. We started playing. But if you are in the middle of the action, you know, the middle of the action, 10:30, 11, these are the middle of the action. And the end of the action is not important at all. Pay attention. In past continuous, but in simple past, it's really important to know that the action is completed, okay, between a timeline. So from 10 to 11:30, we completed that. We played tennis, but we are not asking about that. We are concerned with the progress, okay, the action in progress. So let's go to more examples. Jack was reading a book. So Jack was reading a book. Here, the action was in progress in the past. So, when is a linker, his phone rang. So you can make such sentences in order to use them easily and in order to use both of the tenses in your sentence. So you can say, Jack was reading a book when his phone rang. Past continuous plus when plus simple past. Or for instance, I can say, I was walking in the park when I saw a really beautiful cat. And then I describe that. Or I was walking in the park when I met my friend. Or I came across my friend. Like this. So that's the point. And here, were you watching TV when I called you? You can make a question with this formula. Were you watching TV here? Past continuous. And here, when I called you, called here is simple past. Were you watching TV when I called you? And I say, yes, I was. Or no, I wasn't. Pay attention to the first part of the question, okay? Here we have to be, the past to be, and we should answer like this. Here, it wasn't raining. Again, past continuous, okay, so it didn't draw. Past continuous plus when plus simple past. It wasn't raining when I got up. So this is a simple formula in order to use both tenses in a sentence. Remember, past continuous shows the action in progress, but simple past shows the action which interrupts that, or a completed action. That was all about it. That's the end of this session. For the next session, we are going to work on the grammar. Used to. It's really important. We are going to talk about our past habits. Just follow us. Keep subscribed. See you.